Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we'll continue our reading, our course in the Sahih al-Bukhari in the book of Jihad. And this sector that we see today is called the sector of the Jihad of women. Narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, the mother of the faithful believers. She said, I requested the Prophet to permit me to participate in Jihad, but he said, your Jihad is a performance of Hajj. Also narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, the mother of faithful believers. The Prophet was asked by his wife about the Jihad, and he replied, the best Jihad for you, the performance of Hajj. Next sector is the Jihad of women in the sea. Narrated Anas, Allah's apostle, went to the daughter of Milhan and reclined there and slept and then woke up smiling. She said, Oh Allah's apostle, what makes you smile? He replied, I dread that some people amongst my followers were sailing on a green sea in Allah's cause, resembling kings on thrones. She said, O apostle, invoke Allah to make me one of them. He said, Oh Allah, let her be one of them. Then he slept again and woke up and smiled. She asked him the same question and he gave the same reply. She said, invoke Allah to make you one of them. He replied, you'll be amongst the first group of them. You'll not be amongst the last. Later on, she married Ubadah ibn Sa'd, and then she sailed on the sea with Bint Qulaza, with Muawiyah's wife, for jihad. On her return, she mounted her riding animal, which threw her down, breaking her neck, and she died on falling. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This sector and the following sectors that inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala we will explain, they all pertain to the jihad of women. And the jihad pertaining women comes two parts, or falls under two sections or categories. Is it jihad al-talab, which is Muslims going out there actually offering Islam, and this is where we open other lands, or is it jihad of defense? Because the ruling differs accordingly, meaning according to the kind of jihad. And the original is jihad al-talab, because the jihad of defense may or may not happen. We may have enemies fight against us, and we may not have enemies fight against us. It depends throughout time, of course, you know, how things are and how strong is our enemy. But jihad al-talab should be always going on. It's always mandatory, whether or not we have jihad of defense. Because as we said before, usually what happened was once a year, there's some sort of jihad of talab, some sort of opening lands, spreading Islam. And subhanAllah, today we no longer perform the kind of jihad. And the jihad of defense, jihad of dafa, became being used all the time, since many Muslim countries fall under unification and so forth. Al-Bukhari started the sector mentioning the jihad of women. He said the sector, the jihad of women. Meaning that he will mention everything that pertains to the jihad of women. He will relate and he will narrate whatever he has from the Prophet ﷺ, from the tale of the Prophet ﷺ, that has to do with the ruling of jihad, or the ruling of women's jihad. Is it permissible or not? Is it obligatory or not? And so forth. The first hadith that we have mentioned, the mother of the faithful believers said, I requested the Prophet to permit me to participate in jihad. But he said jihad is the performance of Hajj. This first hadith shows how the Prophet's wives, how the women during their time, how the companions, meaning female companions of the Prophet ﷺ, wanted and liked to participate in everything that will bring them good deeds. Anything that will bring them to Jannah. They want to go ahead and do it. As hard as it may be, and a difficult time or hardships that they may face, they still want to get this, or they still want to actually receive such higher rank and such large amount of deeds that they want to gather so they can actually achieve higher rank and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fighting is prescribed upon you and you dislike it, but it's impossible that you dislike a thing which is good for you. and that you love a thing which is bad for you. But Allah knows, and you know not. Of course, fighting is hard on a human. You get hurt severely, hardships that you go through, and so forth. Basically, you sell your life for the afterlife. Whoever in jihad sells himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here is a woman in a situation where a woman wants to go to jihad. Now, the answer and the response of Prophet ﷺ, in what the linguistic or the language scholars may say, it's a style of restriction or a style of limitation. In this case, it was a case of jihad of talab. The response to the Prophet ﷺ, he says, your jihad is a performance of hajj. He limited them. He limited the answer. He limited his response. He limited his permission. Okay? She wanted to participate in jihad of talab. And here, through the answer of Prophet ﷺ, shows that it is permissible to not allow women to participate in it. For it returns to her husband or guardian. Whoever her guardian is, husband, father, brother. So this shows when a woman wants to participate in jihad of talab, if she wants to participate, then she has to get the permission. She also has to take care of some business, meaning she has to know how she's going to deal with this whole situation. Is there a place that the woman going to stay in? There is some preparation that should be being done before women can actually go out there with the men, because there shouldn't be any contact, there shouldn't be any gathering where women and men are together. This is a serious matter here. So preparation should be done. And this is also this is hardship that the woman will go through. You know, she'll perform everything, or she may put herself in a situation where she has to perform anything a man can do. You know, maybe she'll be put in a situation where she has to fight with a sword, or become an archer and so forth. So this is jihad talab. So instead he said, the Prophet al-Hajj. And we know al-Hajj is a jihad of every weak. Whoever is weak. It's considered jihad, of course, because of what goes in it, of hardships and so forth. That's why it's considered jihad. Although it's not the same rank of effort and this is in the same rank of effort, of course, does not equal actual jihad of fighting. Actual standing, you stand in front of an enemy, putting yourself in a risk where you might have your neck or your head cut off. Of course, this is a harder thing to do. In the other narration that the Bukhari has mentioned in his hadith, he said the best jihad for you is a performance of hajj. Meaning the best for them, the best jihad for them is hajj. This is, of course, is not opposing the jihad women. You know, meaning having it permissible. It's permissible, although it's better for them, meaning hajj is better for them as a jihad than fighting, because the hardships in hajj is less. The preparation is less. And so forth. So it's easier to manage, it's easier to perform. Therefore, Prophet ﷺ recommended hajj than fighting for the women, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, this next sector, the jihad of women in the sea. First of all, Imam al-Bukhari started with the sector after the general sector that he started this section, meaning he started the section of jihad or started a section about women and jihad. And the first sector was the jihad of women. Then he followed that section with that sector with another sector, which is the one we're talking about right now, is the jihad of women in the sea. So that he would show that women, even though Prophet recommended for them something, they would still, or they're still permitted, or can be given the permission to go out and participate in jihad. This hadith that we mentioned, and I shall read it upon you once again, narrated Anas, Allah's Apostle went out of Milhan, and reclined there and slept, and then woke up smiling. She asked, "O Allah's Apostle, what makes you smile?" He replied, "I dreamed that some people amongst my followers were sailing on the green sea in Allah's cause, resembling kings on thrones." She said, "O Allah's Apostle, invoke Allah to me, one of them. Allah to make me one of them." He said, "O Allah, let me be one of them." Then he slept again and woke up and smiled. She asked him the same question and he gave her the same reply or the same response. She said, "Invoke Allah to make me one of them." He replied, "You will be amongst the first group of them. You will not be amongst the last." Later on, she married Ubadah ibn Samt, and then she sailed on the sea with Bint Qadha, who is Muawiyah's wife for jihad. On her return, she met with the right animal, which threw her down, breaking her neck, and she died on falling down. So this is the hadith that we're talking about right now. We said we have mentioned this hadith before. But the proof in, or the point of mentioning the hadith in this place, that she went jihad even though she's a woman. Okay. This shows how a woman can always, or they can always be permitted, of course, the situation and the preparations and so forth, as we have mentioned before, to participate in jihad. And we know that how the Prophet said, whoever trains a soldier or fighter has the same deed, or as the Prophet has said, has the same deed as if he fights himself. And different nations of that. In this hadith, there are some additional information, the other narrations that we have met before. That she went out with Bint Qadha. And that was in the time of the rule of Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu. This is a proof that a woman may go out for fighting as long as she does not hold, or a woman may go out for jihad as long as the jihad may not hold the woman back from performing requirements, such as hijab, having certain preparation before going to jihad, not gathering or being alone with men in a certain place, pretty much separation of men and women. And in this hadith, she killed in an accident, although she is still considered to be a shaheed or a shahida. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever goes to jihad and dies in the cause of Allah, whoever goes to jihad in the cause of Allah dies, he becomes a shaheed, or he is considered to be a shaheed. So she may fall under, and she, inshallah, falls under this ruling or this category, that she becomes from the shuhada, those who died fighting. Even though she died in an accident, although she went out with the intention that she is fighting, she is performing jihad. Okay? So we take from this hadith that women can actually go out and participate in jihad. Although we say that from this hadith does not mean that women and men were not separated. And lastly, we say that if a person dies in an accident while he's performing jihad or going out for jihad, he may still be considered to be a shaheed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is best. This sector is called a man, or a man having his wife in jihad without the rest of his wives, or without some of his wives. She said, whenever the Prophet intended to proceed on a journey, he used to draw lots amongst his wives and would take the one upon whom the lot fell. Once, before taking out the jihad, he drew lots amongst us, and the lot came to me. So I went with the Prophet, and that happened after the revelation of the verse of hijab, meaning viewing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. This sector, or this hadith, that narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, whenever the Prophet intended to proceed on a journey, he used to draw lots amongst his wives and will take the one upon whom God fell. Once before setting out for jihad, he drew lots amongst us, and the lot came to me. So I went to the Prophet, may peace be upon him, and that happened after the revelation of the verse of hijab, which is the veil. This also shows how women can go out, or they're allowed, and it's permissible for them, if they get the permission, of course, to go out and fight or participate or have some sort of participation or performance of jihad or assistance that they may do or perform out there. And Arabs, sometimes back then, would have their wives around them, but they would take their wives to the battles to have them as a motive or as a motivation for them to fight more or fight harder. That they know in their minds when they're fighting, they know if the wife, if they lose the war, or the battle, they lose their wives and so forth. So it gives them some sort of a goal or something that motivates them to fight more and something to defend out there. Now, this hadith also shows how lying can be used to whoever has partnership in it. Meaning, if you have partners and you want to buy something, or you want to pick you have a group of people who are all together in one thing, and you want to choose one person, you may use lying, the method of lying, actually pick out that person. And the Prophet ﷺ having his wife with him does not necessarily mean that she's going to have to fight them, although it may that he needs for some assistance, maybe it's medical assistance, maybe take care of anything that Prophet ﷺ may happen to need it for. Although it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going out there to actually hold a sword, because if you think about it, there are so many guys out there who can actually take a place of that. So it shows how the Prophet ﷺ may actually need her for another task than the actual physical fighting. In this battle, the story of Ifk happened, in which al-Munafiqun, the hypocrites has started about Aisha radiallahu anha, the mother of faithful believers, and some of the companions have fell on it. And of course we know the story is a long story. We won't go into details, but very quickly this also shows the Sheikh has mentioned in this hadith or in his version of the book, that what she says, and that happened after the revelation of the verse of hijab. In his version, it says before the revelation of hijab. He commented on this saying, so let's take the version that says before the revelation of hijab, which is not the strongest. But he says that if it's in this case, shows how the Prophet ﷺ also had this purpose for her, even though the hijab was not yet, according to that narration, or according to that copy, the hijab was not yet obligatory. She would still be able to be out and participate in hijab. Although, which is the correct information, that it was after the revelation of hijab, because through the story of Ifk, we know that the hijab is already ordered, and we'll see in a few seconds why. We'll know in a few seconds why and how. So it is after the revelation of hijab, and this shows how there should not be any conflict between the veiling of a woman, the separation of women and men, and jihad. If there's a conflict, then not going to jihad will be better. So avoiding this conflict should be always there. And also in those who were pulling the camel of Aisha radiallahu anha did not feel when she went out of her what is called hawdaj, which is some sort of a small tent that is being built upon the camel's back that women would be in. They do not feel it if she left or not. Why? Because she's always in there. So it shows how there was not a lot of contact between or gathering between men and women. And even in the story when Safwan found her when she was sleeping and she woke up, she covered her face very fast. It shows how, through story, which is the correct narration, and it's proven narration, and that this incident was after the revelation of hijab. And also when he put the camel down for her to ride upon, to ride on, he stepped away for her to sit down first, and then he took the camel and set off to Medina. So we see how there's very strict limitations of the contact of women and men in this atmosphere. There should be separation, and this is first of all to help them not going into mischief or anything of that sort. And this is of course for the benefit of the army in their fighting. They're set, they're focused in what they're doing and what they're going to do and what they are out for to participate in. This and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. The next two sectors, we start with a sector called the invasion of women and their fighting with men. Narrated Anas radiallahu anhu on the day of the battle of Uhud. The day of the battle of Uhud, when some people retreated and the Prophet ﷺ, I saw Aisha bint Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Sulaym with the ropes tucked up so that the dangles around the ankles were visible, hurrying with their water skins. In another narration, it is said, carrying the water skins on their backs. Then they would pour the water in the mouth of people, and return to the water skins again, and came back again to pour water in the mouth of people. Also, the next section called the holding of women, the skins of water or war skins during an invasion or during a battle, narrated that Umar al-Khattab distributed some garments amongst the women of Deen. One good garment reigned, and one of those present with him said, "Oh, chief of the believers, give this garment to your wife, the granddaughter of Allah's Apostle." They meant Kulthum, the daughter of Ali radiallahu anhu. Umar said, Talib has more right habit, and Talib was amongst those Ansari women who had given the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Apostle. Umar said, she, meaning Talib, used to carry the water skin for us on the day of Uhud. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, we take in this hadith that we got right now, which is women being skins. First of all, we had invasion of women and they're fighting with them. Said the hadith on the day of Uhud, when some people retreated and glad the Prophet ﷺ saw Aisha bint Abu Bakr and Sulaym with the ropes tucked up so that the dangles around their ankles were visible, very hurrying with their water skins. And another narration it said, carrying the water on their backs. Then they would pour the water out of the people and return to the water skins again and come back into water and out people. This was an example of the jihad of women during the Prophet ﷺ. And this was before the ayah of hijab, This was before the ayah of hijab, of course. Uhud was before hijab. And this means that it can still continue after the ayah of hijab. That this force or this task or this participation still continue after the ayah of hijab, as long as not violating the ayah of hijab. That jihad does not conflict with ayah of hijab. The meaning of this sector, the invasion of women and their fighting with men, what does that mean? It means that it is permissible for women to fight with men. It is permissible for women to fight men. This is why Al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, may mercy be upon him, mentioned this. This is what he meant from title of this sector. Is it permissible for women to fight with men? It says that usually women don't fight with men, especially that during there was a great need for more fighters. Okay, there was, as hadith says, the day of Badr of Uhud, when some people retreated and left the Prophet. So there was a great need of more warriors, of more fighters, of more knights. Even though the women did not do that task, did not participate in the actual bending of the swords. What they did, and of course it's forbidden that they fight, but women shall not fight unless it's necessary. Like if she was going to get captured or something, then there's no problem though it's mandatory in her if she can fight back. Okay? But this hadith shows how they went during the Prophet, during the era of the Prophet ﷺ, how they used to participate if they actually participate. How they used to participate. Okay? With the rope stuck up so that the bangles on their ankles were visible. This is, we said, was before the hijab. The other narration says carrying the water skins on their backs. Also, they were visible, hurrying with the water skins. They were very fast, trying to get water to those who were injured. And that does not mean that there was any physical contact between men and women. But those who were in very serious matter, very serious situation, that they want maybe a drop of water can actually make them live more, or help them live more, or actually be a reason for them not to die, or those who have severe injury and so forth. So they were hurrying, assisting, and it shows how hard and how much effort they had put in their job or in their tasks that they've done. Now, women holding water skins, another sentiment, which he said narrated Nabi Malik that al-Khattab distributed some garments amongst the women of Medina. What happened was, Khattab, it probably was a war booty, or just from the wealth of the Ummad, he decided to give out some clothes, some garments to the women of Medina. And there was one good garment that remained out of all of them, and one of those present with him said, "O chief of the believers, give this garment to your wife, the granddaughter of Allah's Apostle." What happened? Usually the granddaughter, or the granddaughter from your daughter's side. Okay? Say you are a grandfather, and you have daughter, and your daughter has daughter. Okay? Your granddaughter can be considered your daughter. So this, see how close the relation between Khattab and the Prophet ﷺ? Of course, you said they meant Kulthum, the daughter of Ali, and Fatima radiallahu anha, daughter of Allah's Apostle. So what happened was, Umar radiallahu anhu said, Sulaym has more right to him. See how fair he is. He's over an outside person, outside his family. Okay? If you say, quote unquote, an alien female that he does not know, there's no relation, there's no family relation between him and her. But because he's fair in distributing such gifts that he's giving out, he said, Sulaym was amongst those Ansari women who had given the pledge of allegiance to Allah. Umar said, she used to carry water skins for us on the day of Eid. So you see how she was actually participating and how much effort she was giving in. Therefore, Umar radiallahu anhu, instead of giving his wife, he gave her. Through the hadith, we can also use that the daughter of Ali radiallahu anhu, Kulthum, she was a young girl. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he was an older man in the 50s. And she was in the early teens, and as the Sheikh has also said that she may have been about 9 or 8 years old. About 8 years old, he has said. This shows how, according to the text, that a man, an older man, may marry a younger girl, according to the text. Okay? Unlike how some people go out and say, oh, it's not allowed, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And they are obeying, and they are going against the text that we have from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ and from the hadith from the seerahs of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's regarding that. Getting back to the point of women fighting or participating in jihad, we see how through these hadith we find the role of women in their fighting or in their participation. How they carry the tasks, what tasks they usually carry. Okay? And the emphasis on the fact that there should not be any conflict between hijab and jihad. This and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala noticed. This sector is called Women Aiding the Injured in the Battle, narrated Al-Bayy' bint Muawwidh, that she said, we were in the company of the Prophet providing the wounded with water and treating them and bringing the killed to Medina, of course, from the battlefield. Also narrated that she said, we used to take a part in whole battles with the Prophet by providing the people with water and serving them and bringing the killed and the wounded back to Medina. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this. Inshallah, this last hadith, or this last explanation, is what we will end our lesson today with. We said first hadith, or first sector, women aiding the injured in the battle. Narrated Al-Bayy', we were in the company of the Prophet ﷺ, providing the wounded with water and feeding them and bringing the killed to Medina from the battlefield. The second hadith, the second sector is women returning the killed and wounded back to Medina. And the hadith is narrated Al-Bayy' as well. We used to take part in the holy battles of the Prophet ﷺ by providing the people with water and serving them and bringing the killed and the wounded back to Medina. What happened through these sectors, we'll find Al-Bayy' how he used the same narration to prove 2 points. The first, women aiding the injured, and the second, women returning those who are killed and wounded back to Medina, and this is what is known now by medical evacuation of battlefields. Okay, and we'll go into that. First of all, the first hadith, we were in the company of the Prophet ﷺ, providing the wounded with water and treating them. What happens in that they do treat them, although that's without direct contact or touching. Usually, as some people say, it's done by older women or by maharim. And sometimes it falls under the category of needful and necessary. You know, you see somebody dying, and the men are fighting, and the person that you see is dying has no mahram, he has no female mahram. Then you, as a female, as an alien female to that person, that male, you may help him out. Why? Because this is needful, this is a necessary situation. But if he has a female mahram around, she should be the one mediating him. Okay? That's regarding the contact and the direct contact and the touching and so forth. And the whole women and men in the battlefield, that sort of thing. Also, we see how women would do whatever they're able to do. They carry water, treat the injured, bring them the killed back to Medina, and we'll talk about this in a few seconds, and so forth. And even Sulaim, she used to take a dagger with her to fight. In the case of a kafir that comes near her, she would take out the dagger that she has in a belt around her stomach and, actually attack him with it if he tries to come near her. Now, we come to that medical part. It's very interesting how we see such tactics were being used. How the women would evacuate the battlefield of wounded who are seriously wounded and cannot be mediated, or they are hard to aid. Those who are seriously injured and hard to aid or mediate during the battle or in the battlefield. So they are sent to the Medina, where maybe perhaps more facilities are there to assist or to be in the assistance of those actually helping out a person who's injured. And also those who are killed, to be sent back to Medina, people in the graves and prayed on and so forth. So we see how women would actually participate in several things. Now some people will use such a hadith to say, okay, since they were mediating and so forth, we can use such a hadith to prove that there can be some sort of a physical contact in some situations between men and women. And this is totally not true. This is totally untrue. And it's based on nonsense, on not the right basis. We say that women used to, if it's very needful, and it's done the right way, okay, with no direct contact, and if it's done with usually the maharim, or those who do it, the female maharim who are out there to assist and help in mediating. and thing in the medical aid and so forth. This is regarding those two hadith and these two hadith, and this is what we'll end our lesson tonight with. And inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll meet you in the next lesson. I'll continue from that point. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows.